Students of class 7, we are going to begin with a new chapter in maths today, that is time and distance. Okay, let us learn a few definitions before we come into the sums. What is speed? The distance covered by an object in a unit time in the same direction is called the speed. That means whenever any particular distance is covered by any object in a given span of time in unit time, that means in given span of unit time, that means say 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, etc. in the same direction is called the speed. And what is the relationship between distance, time and speed? We know speed equals to distance covered by time required to cover the distance. So that means we can say that speed is equals to distance by time. Speed is equals to distance by time. This is the relationship between speed, distance and time. Now what is time? How do we find out the time required? Time is equals to distance by speed. Time will be equals to distance by speed. This is the way you can find out the time. Next is distance covered. Now finding the distance covered, if you cross multiply, you now know how to solve the equation. Distance will be equals to time into speed. Just cross multiplying, you are getting distance covered equals to time into speed or speed into required time. So the time and distances are in direct proportion, speed being constant. So here we find that the time and distance are in direct proportion and the speed is constant. Now what is meant by direct proportion? One quantity, this thing I have already explained you that the direct, when we studied the direct and inverse proportion in the proportion chapter, when one quantity increases with the value of the another quantity, then the two quantities are said to be in direct proportion. And when the value of one quantity increases with the decrease in the value of the another quantity and vice versa, at that time the two quantities are said to be in indirect proportion. So here the time and the distances are in direct proportion, because just giving you an example how time and distance are in direct proportion. Say whenever your distance from school is less, you are taking less time to come to school, less time to reach school. But say if the distance of your house from school is more, at that time you need more time to reach school. So thereby we can say that whenever the distance is increasing, the time is also increasing, and whenever the distance is decreasing, the time taken to cover the distance will also decrease. So in this way the distance and time they are in direct proportion. In this way the distance and time are in direct proportion. The speed being constant. So whenever I am keeping the same speed, the distance is increased, the time will also increase. The distance decrease, time will also decrease. So here we can simply say that when one quantity increases, another quantity also increases. They are in direct proportion. And when one quantity decreases, another quantity is decreasing. At that time they are in indirect proportion. So the speed and distance are in direct proportion, time being constant. Now when speed and distance are in direct proportion, at that time time is constant. That is, in a particular time, if the speed increases or decreases, the distance covered will also increase or decrease. Next we are going to learn the unit of speed. First unit of speed is kilometer per hour. Now if I want to know the relationship between kilometer per hour and meter per second, we will have to derive the relationship. Now 1 kilometer per hour means 1 kilometer by 1 hour, and 1 kilometer means 1000 meter, and 1 hour means 60 into 60, that is 3600 seconds. Now after cancellation I will find that we are getting 5 by 18 meter per second. So in this way I am converting one unit of speed to the another, that is I am converting 1 kilometer per hour to meter per second. This is the relationship between kilometer per hour to meter per second. So just keep in mind that whenever you are getting the speed in kilometer per hour, if it is given in the question to convert into meter per second, you are going to multiply with 5/18. And whenever you need to convert from meter per second to kilometer per hour, at that time you need to divide with 5/18. So when you are moving from left to right, you are multiplying with 5/18, and right to left you are dividing with 5/18, dividing by 5/18. So that is why this relationship between kilometer per hour and meter per second is important. Next point, let us read. When a train crosses a bridge or a tunnel or platform or any another train, it has to cover a distance of its own length plus the length of the bridge or tunnel, platform or another train, etc. That means whenever, say, one train is, both the trains are, say suppose I am giving an example with the train and platform. Suppose this is the train moving and here is the platform. Say the train has come and reached the platform and it will move in this direction. Then what happened? The total distance covered is the length of the train plus the length of the train till here plus the length of the platform. So in this way you will get the total distance covered by the train whenever a train is crossing a bridge or a tunnel or a platform or another train. Then its distance will be the summation or the additional value of its own length plus the length of the platform or tunnel or bridge that is crossed. So when a train crosses a person or post, etc., the distance of its own length is considered, that is the train has to cover its own length. So whenever a train crosses a person or a post, because here the post or a person, the width of the post or a person is considered as negligible. That is why when a train crosses a person or post, etc., then the distance covered, then the total distance covered will remain, that will be equal to the length of its own, means it will remain, the distance covered will be equal to its own length. So we are coming to the sums. We are going to do, let's do ourselves 15.1. Here the question is, after meeting our teacher at the station, Paresh and I accompanied by him to the ceremony hall by a taxi and reached the place in 18 minutes. If the speed of the taxi is 35 km per hour, what is the distance of the place from the station? So here the speed is given, speed is 35 km per hour. Time required is given in minutes. So you need to convert it into hour because a unit has to be compatible, unit has to be same. The speed is given in kilometer per hour. So that means the time also has to be in hours. So minutes you are converting into hours, that means dividing by 60, 18 by 60, that is you are getting 3/10 hours. So therefore the distance of the place from the station is equals to speed into time. The distance of the place from the station is equals to speed into time, because previously only I have given you the relationship between distance, speed and time. Distance equals to speed into time. Now here we are calculating the distance, which is equals to speed into time. So speed is this one, speed you have over here 35 km per hour. So 35 into time is 3/10, and after cancellation we are getting 21/2, which is equals to 10.5 km. So the distance covered is 10.5 km. So in this way, whenever the speed and time is given, you can calculate the distance. Now come to, let's work out 15. Question number 1. On Saturday, I was cycling at a speed of 13 km per hour. I covered a certain distance in 2 hours. On Sunday, cycling at the same time at a speed of 11 km per hour, I covered certain distance. Find out on which day I could travel distance more in 2 hours and how much. Hence, keeping time constant, find the relation between speed and distance. So here two conditions are given. It is in the question, two cases are mentioned. One is on Saturday, another is of Sunday. So on Saturday the speed of the cycle is 13 km per hour and time required is 2 hours. So you can calculate the distance, speed into time, just like the previous sum. When you know the speed and time, you can calculate the distance covered. So that is 13 into 2, which is 26 km. This is the distance covered. Now coming to the case of Sunday. Speed of the cycle is given 11 km per hour. Time required is 2 hours. Then in the second case we are calculating the distance. Distance covered equals to speed into time. So here the speed 11 km per hour and time is 2 hours. So 11 into 2, that is 22 km. So this is the distance covered on Sunday and this was the distance covered on Saturday. Now you need to compare the distances covered on both the days. So you will write in this way. On Saturday I could travel more distance. Obviously on Saturday I covered 26 km and on Sunday I covered 22 km. So obviously 26 is greater than 22. So you will write in this way that on Saturday I could travel more distance and I travelled how much more distance? 26 minus 22, that is 4 km more distance you have travelled on Saturday as compared to Sunday. Now you need to establish the relationship. It is observed that keeping the time constant, when speed decreases, the distance also decreases. So when the time is constant, the speed is directly proportional to distance. This we have learnt previously only. Therefore, we can say that speed and distances are in direct proportion, time being constant. So this is the relationship which we can derive, that speed and distances are in direct proportion when the time is constant. This is the fact, that time has to be constant, then only the speed and the distance is going to be in direct proportion. Next one, question number 2. It is said, on Monday I went to market cycling at a speed of 12 km per hour, but on Tuesday I went to the market cycling at the speed of 15 km per hour. If the distance between my house and market is 2 km, then find on which day I took less time to reach the market. Hence, keeping the distance same, form a relation between speed and time required. So here also the two conditions are given. One is the case of Monday, speed given 12 km per hour, distance given 2 km. Now time is distance by speed, T equals to D by S. This relationship was also derived, this one also was written previously and I mentioned about it. So time required equals to distance by speed. So here we are calculating the time required. Distance is 2 km and speed is 12 km per hour. So after that cancellation we are getting 1 by 6 hours. Now 1 by 6 hours, if I want to change it into minutes, what I will do, I will multiply with 60. Hours to minutes means multiply with 60. Then you are getting 10 minutes. So this is the time required to cover the distance on Monday. Now coming to Tuesday. Here the speed of the cycle equals to 15 km per hour. So distance covered will be equals to 2 km. Time required, distance by speed, just like the previous one. So here you are getting 2 by 15 hour. 2 by 15 hour, if you convert it into minutes, you are multiplying with 60 and after cancellation you are getting 15 4s are 60 and 4 2s are 8 minutes. So on Monday you took 10 minutes and on Tuesday you took 8 minutes. So on Tuesday I took less time to reach the market. Now what is the relationship which can be derived? Hence, keeping the distance same. So, in both the cases, with the distance was 2 km, that means the distance was 2 km means distance was same in both the cases. When speed increases, time required decreases. When speed is increasing, time is decreasing. So, that means we can say that speed and time are in inverse proportion, distance being constant. So, this is the relation. When distance is constant, then speed and time are in inverse proportion. Now, inverse proportion, as I have told you before, when one quantity decreases, another quantity increases. So, here when the speed increases, the time required decreases. This is very natural that when any car or a bike or any other vehicle is driven with a greater speed, then in that case the time required to reach a particular place will become automatically less. But if the speed is less, in that case the time required will be more. So, children, you are going to listen to the explanation of these sums from the video, and also you are going to just put a cross on question number 3 in your book itself with the help of pencil. Just cross it out. Question number 3 has been omitted. Okay. So, work out these sums in your classwork notebook. Thank you for today.